links and images. Foundations, course, introduction. Uh, Links are one of the key features of HTML. They allow us to link to other HTML pages on the web. In fact, this is why it's called the web. In this lesson, we will learn how to create links and add some visual flair to our websites by embedding images. Lesson overview. This section contains a general overview of topics that you will learn in this lesson, how to create links to pages on other websites on the internet, how to create links to other pages on your own websites, the difference between absolute and relative links, how to display an image on a web page using HTML, preparation. To get some practice using links and images throughout this lesson, we need an HTML project to work with. Create a new directory named Odin Links and images. Within that directory, create a new file named index.html. Open the file in VS Code and fill in the usual HTML boilerplate. Finally, add the following H1 to the body, H1 homepage /H1 anchor elements. And to create a link in HTML, we use the anchor element. An anchor element is defined by wrapping the text or another HTML element we want to be a link with an A tag. Add the following to the body of the index.html page we created and open it in the browser about the Odin project. You may have noticed that clicking this link doesn't do anything. This is because an anchor tag on its own won't know where we want to link to. We have to tell it a destination to go to. We do this by using an HTML attribute. An HTML attribute gives additional information to an HTML element and always goes in the element's opening tag. An attribute is usually made up of two parts, a name and a value. However, not all attributes require a value. And in our case, we need to add an href hypertext reference attribute to the opening anchor tag. The value of the href attribute is the destination we want our link to go to. Add the following href attribute to the anchor element we created previously and try clicking it again. Don't forget to refresh the browser so the new changes can be applied. By default, any text wrapped with an anchor tag without an href attribute will look like plain text. If the href attribute is present, the browser will give the text a blue color and underline it to signify it is a link. It's worth noting you can use anchor tags to link to any kind of resource on the internet, not just other HTML documents. You can link to videos, PDF files, images, and so on. But for the most part, you will be linking to other HTML documents, opening links in a new tab. The method shown above opens the links in the same tab as the web page containing them. This is the default behavior of most browsers, and it can be changed relatively easily. All we need is another attribute, the target attribute. While href specifies the destination link, target specifies where the linked resource will be opened. If it is not present, then by default, it will take on the self value which opens the link in the current tab. To open the link in a new tab or window depends on browser settings. You can set it to _blank as follows. You may have noticed that we snuck in the rel attribute above. This attribute is used to describe the relation between the current page and the linked document. No opener. The no opener attribute ensures that a link opened in a new tab or window cannot interact with or access the original page. Without it, the new page can use JavaScript to manipulate the original page, which poses a security risk. For example, open example. In this code, target equals _blank opens the link in a new tab. RIL equals no opener prevents the new tab from accessing the original page, ensuring security. Without an opener, the new tab could use JavaScript to interact with the original page, which is unsafe. Nor The noRefer attribute provides both privacy and security. It prevents the new page from knowing where the user came from, hiding the refer, and also includes the behavior of Nupener, preventing the new page from accessing the original page. And for example, visit example. In this example, target equals underscore blank opens the link in a new tab. REL equals no referrer ensures the new page cannot see the referring page's address, privacy, and prevents it from accessing the original page, security. By using REL equals no referrer, you automatically get the benefits of both privacy and security. Why do we need this added behavior for opening links in new tabs? Security reasons. The prevention of access that is caused by an opener prevents phishing attacks where the opened link may change the original web page to a different one to trick users. This is referred to as tab nabbing. Adding the noRefer value can be done if you wish to not let the opened link know that your web page links to it. Note that you may be fined if you forget to add rel equals open parenthesis, Nupener close parenthesis, n equals open parenthesis, n close parenthesis. Since more recent versions of browsers provide security if only target equals open parenthesis, blank close parenthesis is present. Nevertheless, in line with good coding practices and to err on the side of caution, it is recommended to always pair a target equals blank with a REL equals Nupener noRefer, absolute and relative links. Generally, there are two kinds of links we will create: links to pages on other websites on the internet, links to pages located on our own websites, absolute links. Links to pages on other websites on the internet are called absolute links. Typical absolute link will be made up of the following parts: scheme /domain /path. An absolute link will always contain the scheme and domain of the destination. And we've already seen an absolute link in action. The link we created to the Odin Project's About page earlier was an absolute link as it contains the scheme and domain. https://www.theodinproject.com/about. Relative links. Links to other pages within our own website are called relative links. Relative links do not include the domain name since it is another page on the same site. It assumes the domain name will be the same as the page we created the link on. Relative links only include the file path to the other page relative to the page you're creating the link on. This is quite abstract. Let's see this in action using an example. Within the Odin links and images directory, create another HTML file named about.html and paste the following code into it. Back in the index page, add the following anchor element to create a link to the About page. Open the index file in a browser and click on the About link to make sure it is all wired together correctly. Clicking the link should go to the About page we just created. This works because the index and About page are in the same directory. That means we can use its name, about.html, as the link's href value. But we will usually want to organize our website directories a little better. Normally, we would only have the index.html at the root directory and all other HTML files in their own directory. Create a directory named Pages within the Odin links and images directory and move the about.html file into this new directory. Refresh the index page in the browser and then click on the About link. It will now be broken. This is because the location of the About page file has changed. To fix this, we just need to update the About link href value to include the pages/directory, since that is the new location of the About file relative to the index file. Body h1 homepage /h1a href equals pages/about.html about/a/body Refresh the index page in the browser and try clicking the About link again. It should now be back in working order. In many cases, this will work just fine. However, you can still run into unexpected issues with this approach. Prepending / before the link will, in most cases, prevent such issues. By adding a /, you are specifying to your code that it should start looking for the file, the directory relative to the current directory. Body h1 homepage /h1a href equals / pages / about .html about /a body. A metaphor. Absolute and relative links are a tricky concept to build a good mental model of. A metaphor may help. Think of your domain name, town.com, as a town, the directory in which your website is located /museum as a museum, and each page on your website as a room in the museum /museum /movie room.html and /museum /shops /coffeeshop.html. Relative links like ./shops /coffeeshop.html are directions from the current room, the museum movie room /museum /movie room.html, to another room, the museum shop. Absolute links, on the other hand, are full directions, including the protocol HTTPS, domain name, town.com, and the path from that domain name /museum /shops /coffeeshop.html. https://town.com /museum /shops /coffeeshop.html. Images. Websites would be fairly boring if they could only display text. Luckily, HTML provides a wide variety of elements for displaying all sorts of different media. The most widely used of these is the image element. To display an image in HTML, we use the img element. Unlike the other elements we have encountered, the img element is a void element. As we have seen earlier in the course, void elements do not need a closing tag because they are naturally empty and do not contain any content. Instead of wrapping content with an opening and closing tag, it embeds an image into the page using a source attribute which tells the browser where the image file is located. The src attribute works much like the href attribute for anchor tags. It can embed an image using both absolute and relative paths. For example, using an absolute path, we can display an image located on the Odin Project site. To display images on your website that are hosted on your own web server, you can use a relative path, Linux, Mac OS, Chrome OS, WSL2. Finally, add the image to the index.html file. Save the index.html file and open it in a browser to view Charles in all his glory. Parent directories. What if we want to use the dog image in the About page? We would first have to go up one level out of the pages directory into its parent directory so we could then access the images directory. To go to the parent directory, we need to use 2 dots in the relative file path like this, .. Let's see this in action within the body of the about.html file. Add the following image below the heading we added earlier. img src equals .. images /dog.jpg. To break this down, first we are going to the parent directory of the pages directory, which is Odin links and images. Then from the parent directory, we can go into the images directory. Finally, we can access the dog.jpg file. Using the metaphor we used earlier, using / in a file path, is kind of like stepping out from the room you are currently in up to the main hallway so you can go to another room. Alt attribute, besides the src attribute, every image element must also have an alternative text attribute. The alt attribute is used to describe an image. It will be used in place of the image if it cannot be loaded. It is also used with screen readers to describe what the image is to visually impaired. users. This is how the Odin Project logo example we used earlier looks with an alt attribute included. As a bit of practice, add an alt attribute to the dog image we added to the Odin links and images project. Image size attributes. While not strictly required, specifying height and width attributes in image tags helps the browser lay out the page without causing the page to jump and flash. It is a good habit to always specify these attributes on every image, even when the image is the correct size or you are using CSS to modify it. Here is our Odin Project logo. Example with height and width attributes included. Go ahead and update the Odin links and images project with width and height attributes on the dog image. Assignment: watch Kevin Powell's HTML links video, watch Kevin Powell's HTML images video, watch Kevin Powell's file structure video, read about the 4 main image formats that can be used on the web, knowledge check. The following questions are an opportunity to reflect on key topics in this lesson. If you can't answer a question, click on it to review the material, but keep in mind you're not expected to memorize or master this knowledge. What element is used to create a link? What is an attribute? What attribute tells links where to go to? What security considerations must be taken if you wish to use the target attribute to open links in a new tab window? What is the difference between an absolute and relative link? Which element is used to display an image? What 2 attributes do images always need to have? How do you access a parent directory and a file path? What are the 4 main image formats that you can use for images on the web? Additional resources. This section contains helpful links to related content. It isn't required, so consider it a supplemental. Interneting is harsh treatment on HTML links and images. What happened the day Google decided links, including slash, were malware? Chris Coyer's when to use target equals underscore blank on CSS tricks. If you're looking to deepen your understanding of the various image formats used on the web, the following article, which is titled, "Which is the best image format for your website?" from imagekit.io is a great resource. It offers a detailed comparison of JPEG, PNG, GIF, and WebP formats, helping you choose the right one for your needs. Note that the article doesn't cover SVG, but it's still an excellent guide for the other common formats.